Thank you. All right, because we only have an hour together. Oh, it's not quite 3:30 yet. I'll give it one more minute. Welcome, everybody. Yeah. We'll go ahead and get started. So hi, everybody. Welcome to our fifth and think last webinar for this year, at least. And I know I haven't seen a lot of you this year because I've been doing other things, but my name's Jen Much. I'm from Santa Clara County Office of Ed, Science Coordinator and part of the County Office of Education Innovation Hub for Cali. So we're so glad you're all here. I know this time of year can be tricky for some of us. But we are here to talk about the Community-Based Partner Network Toolkit that we have developed, and we're really excited to share this with you all. And we're going to start with just finding out who's here with us today. So if we can go to the next slide. In the chat, just go ahead and share who you are, what organization you're with, and then we're going to find out through a Zoom poll who is here. So the Zoom poll has, we're going to ask these three questions. What sector do you work in? Are you in formal education, informal education? What is your role? And also, what community do you serve? Are you part of a county? Are you part of the state, etc.? So you will have these three questions to answer. Do that for us if you can. And the different sectors, again, formal TK-12 or PK-12, community-based partners, higher ed. Some roles could be you're a teacher, you're an administrator, environmental educator. And then what region do you serve? Are you in Northern California, Central California, Southern California, or do you work statewide? Great, we're seeing a lot of community-based partners. Some informal.
Great, we have over 90% participation, so I'm going to end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here you go. And I'll share the results for you.
Great. Thanks, Amy.
Okay. Are you guys able to see them?
Yes.
I'm not able to, but that just might be me. That's okay. Thank you for participating. That got quite a variety, but most of you are from informal, and so you are our community-based partners that this toolkit was developed with and for. So let's go to the next slide, please. I'm going to tell you a little bit more. Oh, yeah, we did that, right? Poll results. So here's our agenda for today. Again, we're going to remind you all of who we are, what we've been doing these last few years, and then talk about the Community-Based Partner Network Toolkit and give you an overview of it and talk about what is a Community-Based Partner Network. We're going to explore the toolkit for a little bit and then hear from examples in the field of some Community-Based Partner Networks. We're going to help you find your people, and then we'll talk about what next steps would be and what other ways you can be participating in the work that we're all doing. So the next slide, please. So what is CALI, and who are the authors of this resource? So CALI, as hopefully you all know, stands for the California Environmental Literacy Initiative, and that's led by 10 strands. We work statewide to change the education system so that it supports environmental literacy with a focus on equity, inclusion, and cultural relevance for all students. And I think we have another slide here for this one, right? Yeah. And I just read that. And then we also have our innovation hub. So we have a County Office of Education Innovation Hub that's made up of different leaders and members that serve county offices of ed. And we have provided support, resources, and professional learning to schools in our counties, but also statewide and regionally, resources and professional learning. And then as an innovation hub, we have worked collaboratively to develop resources that are used in common across the state to advance environmental literacy. So you'll see the visuals here on this slide. So those include a call to, our first one was our call to action for educational leaders. And as many of you know, we did a webinar series on that last year, and we have those recordings up. And we did this to focus on state goals and educational goals and environmental literacy. We've created what you're going to learn more about today, the Community-Based Partner Network Toolkit. We've also created a teacher call to action. We have some case study publications. So we have a lot of great resources we have created. I think the next slide, I guess we're passing it on already. That was pretty quick. Go ahead, Amity.
Thank you, Jen. Hi, everybody. I'm Amity Sandage. I serve as the Environmental Literacy Coordinator at Santa Cruz County Office of Education. And to understand the purpose of this toolkit, we thought this next section, it would be helpful to spend a few minutes thinking about community-based partner networks and the ways they fit into the work of the formal education system. So you can go to the next slide. In our work at county offices of education, those of us in the hub who developed this tool, we all use the state's blueprint for environmental literacy as one of the foundational documents driving this work. And so if you haven't taken a look at that document, we recommend you do. It's been out for several years, since 2015. And you can see here the definition they provide of environmental literacy.
She wants to go with you. Okay, I'm on a meeting though, so you guys.
Thank you. And you can see here in the definition section that's provided here that it specifically calls out building students' capacity to support ecologically sound, economically prosperous, and equitable communities. And that to build the capacity for that, it states that students not only need classroom lessons, but also experiential education in the outdoors, which really leads us to our why for creating this toolkit. If you want to go to the next slide. So in the why for us is that community-based organizations play a key role in supporting more equitable access to outdoor education, environmental education, green careers, community programs, all of these things that address real challenges at the local level for making the learning relevant, and also to the global level, which is of great concern to every community and especially our youth. Next slide, please. So what are these community-based partner organizations? We thought it'd be helpful to start by thinking about the types of work that they do. And on the next slide, we'll see that as a group, they provide, and you all, there's a lot of you in this virtual room from the community-based partner category. So you all provide a really wide range of services to the education sector, ranging from school field trip programs to teacher training programs to technical assistance to content expertise to showing what a career looks like in the real world. Next slide. And the types of organizations that are doing that range of work are also quite varied. That's what this slide is showing. Depending on the region of the state you're in, this list of the types of partners can actually look quite different as well. You'll see that there are groups that you may not think of as environmental education organizations, but their work can be tied in because of their connection to health or to natural resource management. In my county, we happen to have a large contingent of environmental education organizations, nonprofits focused on that work. But some counties may have a really different landscape where they don't have a lot of that type of organization. Maybe they have a lot more representation from natural resource management or industry. And that's fine. That's the way this plays out, that these networks can be responsive to their community and the landscape that you're in. Next slide. So in our work on the toolkit, we found it helpful to think about these different types of organizations in some buckets or types of community-based partners. And so you'll see that in green, these two buckets here are organizations that provide direct environmental education programs to students. And these are who we were initially thinking about when we created this toolkit. But then we recognized that there are other groups, some of them represented in yellow, with strong ties to education, but they may not offer direct service in the form of environmental education programs. And lastly, the other buckets represent groups that might not even identify themselves as part of the education system, but they're still key to the success of this work: industry, funding partners, research partners. Next slide, please. In addition to understanding the range of, so thinking about those buckets, just some advice and the different types of work and services that are provided that you can see on the right there in the bulleted list. We encourage you to think about where your organization is in this picture. What types of partners are you already working with, and in what capacity, and which category do you fit into with your work? And that will help you understand the potential impact of your network, what your sphere of influence is, how you can fit into the network, and how to communicate about your role in the system. Next slide. And after thinking through the range of roles and different types of members of a network, it's also really helpful to think about the different types of networks, how they have different scales, different makeups in terms of their membership, and different primary goals that they share. And those will vary, and that's totally okay. As you can imagine, a large statewide network like the California Association for Environmental and Outdoor Education, or AEOE, as most of us call it, is better positioned than a local network to accomplish a task like creating a statewide certification program for environmental educators. And then conversely, if your goal is to increase the number of high school and middle school students actually getting outdoors in the field for their part of their school day, a local network is going to better understand the local school landscape and potential partners that can make that happen and help with doing the matchmaking. So scale plays into what your goals are, and it's important to find your common goals and choose your model to fit with those goals. And this toolkit is designed to help with that process. Next slide. So that leads us to exploring the toolkit, which is definitely the most interesting part of a webinar. Let's not talk at you the whole time. We want to give you some time to dive into this tool. Next slide. So what we're going to do for this section, we're going to ask you all to read the same short section of the document so that then you can have meaningful discussions in the breakout room about what you've read. You'll all be on the same page, literally and figuratively. And here's how it's going to work. So after I give these instructions, we will share the toolkit link that we'll all take 5 minutes to read silently. And we are going to read pages 13 to 17, which is called the Quick Start Guide to Beginning a Community-Based Partner Network. And as you read, please think about and even jot down, if you're a person who helps to write while you think, how might you use this information? How might you use this toolkit? And after reading for 5 minutes, individually, we'll put you into breakout rooms to share with each other. And those are the instructions. So we're going to give you the link and a QR code you can use as well from a phone if that's easier to pull it up. But before you go start reading, I just want to acknowledge that you all are coming with different roles, and also recognize that you may be at different phases in this work. For example, I have a long established network in my county, so I'm not starting a network right now. But even so, reading the Quick Start Guide and being a part of this group that developed the toolkit honestly has given me so many ideas for ways to introduce new strategies and strengthen the work. So it's our hope that there's something for everyone in this toolkit, even if you've already established a network. All right, so the next slide has the QR code. The link is in the chat. And I'm going to actually turn off my camera. And if people want to turn off their cameras for 5 minutes, we will just read silently. And I'll give you a 2-minute warning when so you know how much time is left as you read. About 2 minutes left, folks. And don't worry if you don't get through the whole section. You'll have read enough to discuss. All righty. I'm turning my video back on. That was 5 minutes. If we can go to the next slide, Will, that would be great. And as I said, don't worry if you didn't quite get through everything. Hopefully you've got some ideas to share, and that's what's important. So what we're going to do now is give you a chance to share how you might engage with a community-based partner network, how you might use this tool. And we're going to let you choose your own room based on the phase of development you're in. Some of you haven't started a network, some are beginning a network, some are developing an established network, getting stronger, and you may have a high functioning, long running network. So you can decide. What you'll see is down at the bottom of your screen, you should see a Breakout Rooms button and be able to choose which room you want to join. And you can move rooms too. So if a room gets very full, you can decide to start a second room so that the groups aren't too large and that you can have a decent discussion. And does anybody have any questions about this? If you are unable to do the join your room feature, we can assign you as well. So you'll be able to just unmute and tell us if you need us. You'll have to tell us your name and which type of room you want to go into. Hopefully that is working for people to see and start joining. And as I said, if you see that a room looks pretty full, you could, oh, there isn't a second room to join for each of those. So we'll see how big they get. Should be fine. And is anybody having trouble finding the joining feature? And we'll be in breakouts for 10 minutes or maybe a little bit less, 8 minutes, just so you know.
Great. And we'll stay here. And so presenters, if you guys want to go join the right rooms too and get in on those conversations, you totally can.
Okay, great.
I'm going to broadcast a message about the timing. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll go join Haven't Started a Network and see how they're doing if they need any advice.
And Beverly, do you need help getting to a breakout?
Yeah, I lost my screen when I clicked on the link to go read the toolkit, and I'm not.
Oh no!
I can hear you, but I can't see you. So
okay.
I'm so. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Oh gosh. Yeah. No, I don't know where you went.
Sometimes when you hover on the bottom, you see the Zoom symbol. Mine disappears on me all the time.
No. Oh gosh, I'm so embarrassed.
No worries.
There's no worries.
Technology.
Can I just like rejoin? Like if I go.
You could try letting us assign you which room you're trying to get in.
Yeah, but I can't even see you. I don't know where. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh, weird. Maybe you do have to exit and come back. I mean, I don't know if that would help or.
I had to told me to go to privacy, to settings and privacy and turn the camera on for Zoom. So that's what but I lost my group. So I'm now in a different chat room. So hello.
Where are you trying to go? Which room?
I was in the beginning network.
Okay, let me.
I don't know. Says Amy Frame.
All right. I know I met a great group of people in my breakout room. I hope you all did too. We have a lot more to fit into this session. So just a quick share out on the next slide, we'd encourage folks, one more slide, to use the chat for this share out to share takeaways from your breakout room discussion or one way you hope to use the toolkit. So just to be able to share a bit how those breakout sessions went, but then I'm going to turn it over to Will while we're sharing out in the chat to start kicking off the next section here.
All right. And Amity, I'm just going to model that because I had a wonderful conversation with Andra in the breakout room, and we were talking about our networks, and again, just inspired by, sharing some of the details of hearing what she's doing in Northern California and kind of sharing out details of what we're doing here in Monterey County. So yeah, if you can, everyone just take a moment to process what you talked about in that 8 minutes, and feel free to add any, highlights in the chat or in your own personal notes. There we go. And then I encourage everyone to read through the chat and see if that kind of sparks any other ideas or connections.
I love these two that have come in. Just get over that imposter syndrome and dive in, connect. It is really about the relationships. It's so true. That's what we found when we created this toolkit, we surveyed existing networks that were high functioning to look for trends in their practices. And over again, it came back to relationship building, trust building, shared leadership. So building those relationships.
Yeah, I see that the moving slowly. So I encourage everyone to try to enjoy the process as much as possible, right? Take it one step at a time, one moment at a time. So thank you for that. Thanks. Okay, well, I'm going to keep us moving. So again, think about this guiding question: what do networks look like in action? And keeping that in mind, we're going to hear from a couple guest speakers today. And our first guest is our friend Kate. And so Kate, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you for letting me share, Will. It'd be great to go to the next slide. So I'm going to be talking about how I started the Central Coast Environmental Education Partnership. And so I'm an AmeriCorps volunteer, and before I came onto my position, my supervisor, Nathan, at the Ventura County Office of Education had got a group of community-based partners together and was meeting 4 times a year. And when he was able to get me to come on board, it really helped expand its capacity to do this. And I helped to grow the list of community partners. And the big part of my job was actually to create a website. And the website was pretty huge because it was the centralized location for all the community partners and educators to access information about environmental education resources and also our network. And so I'm going to put the link in the chat to the website just in case any of you want to see this as an example. And I'm just going to tell you 3 different parts of the website that were really related to community-based partners on here, which was helpful to start the process of building this network. And so the first thing I did was create a resource guide. And in that resource guide, I just collected community partners' contact information, website, emails, and addresses, and made it like a list. So anybody could download the guide and see these different programs that these community-based partners offered. And then to expand upon that, I wanted to make a really user-friendly interactive part to the website. And so I actually made a filter system, and so that educators could go on and filter for different grade levels, different programs such as field trips and classroom presentations, and look up anything specific about these different community partners. And the last part of the website that I really want to highlight about community partners in our area is this environmental programs map. I just made it with Google Maps, and you can put the link in to a organization and it can pop up on the map. And so you can like zoom in, zoom out where all these different partners are located, which is helpful for me because I'm a visual person and I like to see on the map where these partners are and if they're close and accessible. And so the website was really helpful. And then we got to a point where we wanted to think about moving forward as a network, like our next steps in really building our capacity and serving more people and connecting to educators. And so we used the network, Community-Based Partner Network Toolkit to look for ways for inspiration to grow our network. And we really decided that one of the best ways was to have an in-person event connecting educators to community-based partners. So that'd be great if you could go to the next slide, Will. I just wanted to talk about this environmental education exhibition idea that we had all as a group. We all came up with this event together. And the other way we used the toolkit was to think of shared leadership, because at this point it was just Nathan and I running a lot of this network. And we had a few community-based partners step up and really help us lead this work of doing this exhibition. And we didn't have any money. We were doing this all for free. So we had to figure out a way to make this happen. And so we had one of our partners in our one of our meetings just offer that we could use their space for the exhibition. So that was the Agriculture Museum. And so it was great because we found a place that this could all happen. And then we got all these different community-based partners to come. We had about 15 to 20 different partners that got booths and set up in the Agriculture Museum. And we actually had some local businesses donate food, donate some gifts for the teachers. And then, of course, we marketed this out to all these teachers. And we had over 50 educators show up. And we also had a big presentation about all these resources that Nathan and I had developed. So it was a really great way to showcase all this work we did as a network. And it was so helpful to use the toolkit to make this happen. And if any of you have any questions about this, I'll put my email in the chat and I'm happy to answer any questions. So I'm going to pass this on to Andra to share her story.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Kate. It was really fun to see how that has progressed. I don't know who's in charge of the slides, but if you could go to the next one, I don't know why I must have mixed up my order. Thank you. Just really quickly, I'm Andrea Gwynn. I'm working at the San Mateo County Office of Education, and we launched a really broad environmental literacy and sustainability initiative 5 years ago in 2017-18. And we've really been active in this like whole systems approach of really doing this work across the campus, curriculum, community, and culture. So for us, working with our community-based partners really connects to all pieces of that. And I wanted to just share two different networks that have developed over these 5 years that serve different parts of this whole systems approach. So if you could now go back a slide, I will share a little bit about the yellow one. Thank you. I'll share a little bit about our environmental education providers network. So like Amity said in the very beginning, there's a lot of different types of partners. And the primary network that I wanted to launch in the beginning of when we started this initiative was one focused around folks who are doing environmental education experiences for students. So like guest speaking experiences, field trip experiences, all that kind of stuff. And we've now been working on this network for about 5 years. So we're definitely in that kind of like fully formed partner network stage. But it started off with in the beginning, it started off with me just going and meeting all the different partners and launching and asking, would you like a network? And everyone was like, yeah, that'd be great. So then we launched a network. And then in our second year, we started to really think about, well, okay, now we're this network and now we're kind of past the like just relationships and who are we?
and moving into like, could we do some projects together? Like, let's do some professional learning together. And through that year, we started to identify, actually, we'd like to become like a collective impact network. So by the end of 2018-19, we said like, that's what we want to do. And in the start of 2019-20, we identified that our main goal is this goal on the left, that we wanted to support every student at every grade level to have access to a high quality, standards aligned experience with a community-based partner. So that was like a very meaty goal. And then we started to put together all these different projects and different things to work towards that goal. So like we piloted this filterable website, so it'd be easy to understand like what do each of the organizations do. Thank you to Amity for like showing us that that was even possible to do something like that. And then we also did projects, like we did a lot of data collection projects to figure out like, how are we currently doing this? Like, what's our current status of achieving this goal? And then working on a couple different like scope and sequence projects of like, if we were to achieve this goal, what would the scope and sequence of opportunities look like K through 12 at each grade band level? So we were doing all that and everything was going so lovely and warm and friendly. And then COVID happened and it was like chaos for this community, as many of you know. And to the point where like originally we were only meeting like once every 2 months in that 2018-19 and 2019-20. And we went to weekly meetings as a network in spring of 2020 and then through 2020-21 to monthly, just because the community-based partners needed so much support to pivot programs, figure out what's going on, virtual, in person, like, are we wearing masks? Like, what's going on, right? So that was really what we did for a good year and a half of just like, how can we help these community-based partners stay alive and get programs out to students? Through that, we became even closer as a network. And now and we realized last year that as we navigated all those challenges, that we really could use more staff to do some of the intense coordination that's necessary to get every student at every grade level to have this opportunity. So that's because I felt like my capacity was doing other things. We really needed somebody who could do just that piece of it, the matchmaking part. So this year in 2021-22, we have a new structure for our network where we have co-chairs, and if anybody, there's like links in the notes of this for this slide. If anybody can put that in the chat box, that's really helpful. But we have co-chairs now, and it's a co-facilitated between our county office and also community-based partners. And we also have piloted this community-based partner coordinator position who's doing some of the matchmaking. So that person's only been in the role for a couple months, but we're starting to see like little bits of progress moving forward with our districts and towards that goal. So I'm super excited to see like where that's gone in 5 years. And I think we have a really stable structure now. And I was just finishing up with a meeting with my co-chairs right before this, where we said like, yes, so excited to like celebrate the success of this year and move into next year with all these pieces now in place. So that's one of our networks. And then if you can jump forward to the blue slide, the one that has a little blue box, the next one, the next partnership network that we realized we needed to also launch in our county is one that is focused on getting technical assistance out to our school districts for doing this work in facilities and operations, so buildings and grounds. So there is some overlap between some of the partners. Some of our partners do like experiences for students in curriculum and instruction and also technical assistance on buildings and grounds. But for the most part, they were kind of two separate groups. And so we launched this network to really help these partners figure out like, how do we better serve schools? They are unique jurisdictions as compared to cities and county agencies, and they really needed to learn a lot about what it looks like to be able to serve the school district communities. And then we've been working on identifying in each school district who are the right champions for us to reach out to. What initiatives are they most interested in? Is it zero waste? Is it EV chargers? Is it, water resiliency projects? Is it living schoolyards? And then matching them up with the right technical assistance partner. So this is still in its very early stages of a network. And so it's been fun to use this toolkit and like come back to thinking about, well, what are the strategies I want to use to launch this network? And how can they be effective in a totally different space with totally different stakeholders, with different outcomes as well. So it's been fun, and I'm really proud of the work that we're doing here in San Mateo County, and totally available to answer any questions if anybody has any of things that they want to adapt and replicate in your area. And that's it for me. I don't know who to pass it off to. Sorry.
That was awesome, Andrea. And I think Kate is taking on the next portion. I think we don't have time for a Q&A because we got to hear from both of you, and that took all of the time we had. But we put the links in the chat. Please also, you will have the contact information to reach out. But we're going to turn things back over to Kate to talk about finding your people.
Great. So next slide, please. We'll be talking about ways to find your people. What we really wanted to highlight is the Cali Community-Based Partner Hub through Green Guardians, which promotes environmental literacy by building educator awareness of community-based partners and their products and services, and also fosters community-based partner relationships for increased student enrichment and engagement. And the hub expands the reach of programs. It increases awareness about specific environmental programs across California. And you can sign up for the Community-Based Partner Hub at the link that Amy just put in the chat. And so if you haven't started a filter system yet on your website or are looking for a way to do this, this is a really great starting point. And if you go to the next slide, it shows what it looks like on the website. So we just highly recommend for you to go in and check it out and connect if you have any questions. And so next, I'm going to pass this on to Amy to talk about the existing networks on the next slide.
Hi there, everybody. Just wanted to make sure that the people here knew about some other ways to find your people and bring them together. So those links are in the chat also. So there's AEOE for Outdoor and Environmental Educators in California, which is the NAAA affiliate, and you have Estrella here with us. Thank you. We have the Community-Based Partner Innovation Hub. So this is sort of parallel to the County Office of Ed Innovation Hub. There is a Community-Based Partner Innovation Hub of Cali. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, you can email me and check out the webpage with some of the members that are there. There is, of course, the CREEK network, the longstanding statewide network. So if you go to that link, you'll see different pages by region with all sorts of offerings for educators in the formal and other sectors. And then lastly, we really want to know if you guys have a network that we don't know about. So Cali's trying to sort of gather all of these different people together. So if you go to the next slide. Basically, it's not fancy at this point yet, but we have a directory of community-based partner networks. So there's a form for you to fill that out and let us know if you have one and who you serve. And then we'll get you added to that list, and that can help people find out, you know, for a starting point, if there's already people that have gotten together a network in their region, and hopefully connect with you and contribute to your work. Or if there's areas where there are no networks, then you know that you're not duplicating your efforts, at least. So we hope that with these different links, you're able to take your network from wherever it is to where you'd like to go next with it. And back to Jen.
Great, thanks, Amy. Wow, we have a lot of time left. So we could actually do some Q&A maybe. Do we want to fit that in right now?
Yeah,
Sure.
that would be great. And I also just want to put an extra plug in for that that slide that just flew by, the Green Guardians managed Cali Community-Based Partner Hub. If you go one more slide, Will, that one, yeah, this actually, this site offers county offices of education a way to have their own branded version of this site. So several of us here have already got a site connected to this statewide hub where it already filters down to our county level. And 10 Strands is really helping to make it easy for county offices to do this. And so I really hope to see that this will be the statewide system for groups to list their programs, their offerings, and make it really easy for schools to connect to all the amazing resources that community-based partners offer. And then, yeah, go on with question Q&A, Jen.
Yeah, and I would add what Amity did say, that if you are affiliated also with a county office and you're having trouble, putting your information onto that website, please contact us, or Kate could help you as well. So there's Green Guardian support to help you. A lot of our community-based partners who were starting to process with the kind of piloted, they're putting their programs in, they got a lot of support from Green Guardian. So don't hesitate to get that help to put your information on there. And a question, how does a county office get on to Green Guardian? Ooh, that is a good question. Who can answer that one? Talk to Kate.
There's a specific link, so I'm going to look for it and put it in the chat.
Great, thank you.
Good question. Anyone else? You can unmute. We have a small enough group and we have a few more minutes. So if you have a question for either Andrea or Kate about their hubs or anything that bubbled up for you during the general conversations and the toolkit. Ah, there you go. Andrea just added something there too. And you can contact Amy. I wanted to go back. Oh, go ahead. I see Maya. Go ahead, Maya. You unmuted.
When it comes to sort of building out the intent of the community-based partnership, right? Do you tend to also have like teacher leaders, or how much do you connect the community-based organization directly? Like one of the pathways that I'm struggling with is how to get what we have to offer of our community-based organizations to our districts and leadership in a way that, they're connecting well, and it's not just another thing like in their email, So I was wondering whether you also have like simultaneous like admin COP strands for, environmental lit, or like how do you tend to get the offerings across to the next level?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that, Maya. One thing that was effective for us was creating a teacher advisory group for our community-based partner network. Having them all meet together all the time wasn't very realistic in terms of the times people are available and the bandwidth and the types of discussions people wanted to have for it to always be relevant to everyone. But it was fantastic when we had a teacher advisory group that came in on an as needed basis. So we kind of have them come and go when we're working on projects that we really need their input on. And that's been an effective way to bring those groups together. And then in terms of the admin buy-in, I feel like for us, what we always had to do was go back to connecting the work to the standards, really making sure we were sending out the message that these community-based partner programs are not an add-on and a fun thing to do in addition to real school, but that they are helping achieve the instructional goals of the teachers, and giving them the right information that shows that.
And I can just share, Maya, from my experience, like similar to Amity, we've had some different capacity building programs that have been really helpful, a teacher one and an admin one. And then also we run a youth leadership program where we've connected a lot of the community-based partners, especially for technical assistance. But I think what I realized after a couple of years and really doing some intentional matchmaking is that we are experimenting with it right now in our county, but having a community-based partner coordinator who is also going to coordinate expanded learning opportunities, but who's really dedicated to doing that initial matchmaking and really helping districts like come up with a environmental literacy plan for these community-based partners, and then moving the work forward at that systemic level. So we're only 6 months into having that role, but it does sound like a dream, and it's hard work, because I saw somebody put in the chat box earlier, like things move really slowly at the count. Things move like I don't even think things move at the COE sometimes, but they do move, they really do. But helping them move at the districts as well, right, moves really slowly. So I thought we could achieve all this work in 6 months. And now I'm like, okay, let's try again next year. So I'm hopeful, but I think like it really is taking that dedicated staffing to do that. And what we're hoping to find out after this experiment of having this role is, does that staff need to be permanent and just be a position that county offices offer to do all that coordination with all types of community-based partners, right? Not just for environmental education, but all types. Or can we work really hard for 3 years, set up all these great systems and let tradition take hold in these different school districts? So we'll let you know after the next 2.5 years what the outcome is in San Mateo County for that result, but we're definitely doing some research on that. So we'll see.
I can quickly share Maya too. Like my network's still fairly new, I feel like, but we started off with teachers and community-based partners together, and it worked well for a while. And then obviously COVID hit, and so we didn't have a lot of teachers coming to our network meetings. So now a thing we're going to try this next year is we're going to keep the community partner network going. We're going to add in a separate teacher network, but then we're going to overlap a few times a year so that we can have a bigger convening meeting together, so we can share strategies and resources and things like that. And then I also, I know emails stink, but I do a monthly newsletter. So I put up everything, all the community-based partners send me what's happening in the next month, and that helps reduce the emails a little bit. So hopefully that helps. Let's maybe 1 more minute for questions, or
Oh no, we've got to close
gotta
now.
wrap it up.
We just have 2 minutes left. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Will. My newsletter, thanks. Well, we do want to wrap it up. So we are so happy you all were here with us today. And please stay connected with us. We gave you lots of information and lots of resources, and contact us if you want to continue this work. As we also have shared there, we do have an innovation hub that is a community-based partner innovation hub. So if you want to, be part of that, let us know. Yeah, I'll send you my newsletter, Maya. And we want to just appreciate you all for being here today. Thank you all for all that you do. And we hope that you will take some time this summer for yourself and relax and spend some time in nature. And we really appreciate you all being here. And if you have anything else, just ask.
The recording and slides will be posted on the website and go out an email from Amy to the registrants. So you can access the slides that have all our contact information on them too. So you can always find us. Thank you.